The button is clicked and the stream is being prepared. Okay. Give it another 10 seconds or so.
I'm beginning recording.
Okay. We are live.
We are live. So with that, it's a great pleasure to pass control of this contest over to our able contest chair, Julie Kenny. Julie Kenny, the stage is yours.
Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the semi-final B for the Humorous Speech Contest, Division 71. So I am Julie Kenny, contest chair this afternoon, and I'm delighted to say that we have 6 fantastic contestants who are there to delight, entertain you and to give you that humour that we all need right now. These contestants have come through their clubs, their areas and their divisions to be part of this contest today. And I am going to wish them all the best of luck. I can confirm that all the contestants have been briefed before the contest, and I'm going to ask our chief judge to confirm that the judges, timers and counters have been briefed.
I can confirm that they all have been briefed.
Thank you, John. The speaking order has been drawn and is as follows. Our first speaker is Aaron Day. Our second speaker, TJ Gundy. Our third speaker, Mary Burnham. Our fourth speaker, Mick Rock. Our fifth speaker, Camille Kornatowski. And our sixth speaker, Cotter. Just to run through that again, Aaron Day, TJ Gundy, Mary Burnham, Mick Rock, Camille Kornatowski, and Cotter. I would like to get this contest started because I know that our contestants are keen to get their messages across to you. So I'd like to welcome to the stage our first contestant. I'd like you, Aaron, I'd like you to please unmute yourself, say your name and confirm that you have pinned the timer.
Hello, yes, I can hear you. It's not allowing me to pin the timer, unfortunately.
Do you have managed to keep them in your sights?
The stopwatch is within my sights, yes.
And are you ready to go?
Yep, good to go, thank you.
Our first contestant is Aaron Day with a speech entitled The Souvenir. The Souvenir, Aaron Day.
At my school, I have one of the best roles that any teacher can have. That's right, I am the school ski trip organizer. Fellow Toastmasters, let me take you back to 2018, French Alps. We have just had a wonderful time in a beautiful resort and the students have been a delight. At the end of every ski trip, we allow our students to go out and buy themselves a little souvenir or two. Magnets and mugs and confectionery are all purchased, emblazoned with the resort's name. Things will go into a very comforting routine until a child called Daniel decided to add a plot twist. You see, Daniel had spent much of the ski trip living up to his school persona. Let's put this diplomatically, shall we? Daniel was a clown, and Daniel was the only child who needed his own risk assessment. Oh, I'm Daniel, and I'm skiing. towards a mound of snow. Oh, I'm Daniel, and I'm careering into a tree. Oh, I'm Daniel, and I'm passing wind on the cabin lift. Daniel had decided to go real silly with his souvenir buying, but Daniel didn't just decide to go slightly off the beaten track. Daniel decided to go completely off-piste. On the morning of our departure, Daniel came up to me in the hotel lobby. Sir, I've bought my souvenir. His excitement terrified me. Daniel walked away and then a few minutes later came back with the item in hand. What Daniel had bought was a long wooden stick with a carved wolf's head as its handle. On the other end was metallic and pointy. It's a walking stick, he said, with that terrifying enthusiasm. I decided to take a professional approach to my response. Daniel, this is the worst souvenir that anyone has ever bought. It's not even going to fit in your luggage. What were you thinking? I marched Daniel back to the shop so that he could get a refund. When we arrived at the store, I noticed in the corner a collection of sticks very similar to the one that Daniel had bought. Next to the sticks was an illustration of a man sitting cozily by a fireplace. And in that picture, the man is poking his fireplace with a stick that looked awfully similar to the one that Daniel had purchased. Daniel, you didn't buy a walking stick, you bought a fire poker. Cool, a fire poker walking stick. You're still going to have to take it back. And with a resigned gesture, Daniel walked up to the till to get his refund, whilst I waited outside. After a long while, Daniel came out of the shop. He still had the wolf-topped souvenir in hand. Daniel, why do you still have that thing? Well, I tried to give it back, and then they asked for my name, and then they took the stick off me, and then a few minutes later, they gave it back. I took the stick off of Daniel, enraged that they wouldn't give a refund to a child. I walked back in towards the store, and then I looked down towards the stick, and the penny dropped. In a clear moment of things being lost in translation, Daniel had somehow managed to get his name engraved into his fire poker walking stick. He had asked for a refund. They thought he wanted it personalized. Daniel, you can't get your money now because they scratched your name into the wood. Cool, a personalized fire poker walking stick. My mind ached of how we were going to get this thing back home. Luckily, my colleague had brought his own skis on the trip, so we were able to take the fire poker walking stick and put it in a ski bag for the journey home. When we arrived back into the UK and we waved goodbye to all the children, I opened up the ski bag to give Daniel his souvenir. However, amidst transportation and overzealous baggage handlers, the stick had broken in two. Oh, here we go, I thought, another moment for Daniel to savor as the class clown. Oh, look at me, I'm Daniel. And I bought the stupidest gift on tour and, it broke on the way home. But here was the plot twist. Daniel's response was very un-Daniel. My stick. Daniel was inconsolable. You see, Daniel hadn't bought the fire poker walking stick to get a rise out of his mates. He'd bought it because his dad loves wolves, timber wolves, Arctic wolves. Wolverhampton, and Daniel had looked high and low for the perfect gift to put a smile on his dad's face. And I had prejudged the purpose of the purchase. Later that week, I was able to get our school woodwork technician to fix the fire poker walking stick. I caught up with Daniel to give him back his souvenir, as good as new. "Thank you, sir," he said. "You're welcome, Daniel. Now you and your dad can poke that fireplace at home to your heart's content." "What fireplace?" Contest chair.
Thank you, Aaron. We'll now have a minute for the judges to collect their ballot papers. Our next speaker is Tundre TJ Gundy. Tundre, can you please confirm that you can see the timer?
I can, yes.
And are you ready to start?
Yes.
Tundre TJ Gundy. Speech entitled Adults, the Secret. Adults, the Secret. TJ Gundy.
Allow me to reflect. Ah, yes, I see. Adults have played a very vital part of my life as a child growing up. It's like they always knew something that I didn't, some kind of secret. You know what I mean? They always seem to do the right things. They say the right words and always at the right time. Whereas I do the wrong words and say the wrong time at the wrong things. Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, I will be sharing 3 snippets of my life as a child, teenager, and a young adult to shed some light on this mystery. Now, I remember when I was a child in my grandparents' house, I was obsessed with the Power Rangers. I would lock myself away in my bedroom and I would fight monsters and furniture to my heart's content. Yeah! 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 Huh. I was a confident kid, creative, maybe crazy, but I was confident. But that was until that night, because that night, lightning struck, lights went out, and every bit of roundhouse kung fu kicking confidence slipped out of my body quicker than I could tighten my sphincter. Darkness overwhelmed me, full of fear, staggering, stumbling. All of a sudden, bang! Door swings open. Swaggers in with the confidence of a robot sent from the future to bring me back to safety. She said, "Come with me if you want to live." Okay, she didn't quite say that, but she did break the door down. And she made a beeline straight for the crying child. She airlifted me back into the living room where my grandfather started a fire in the fireplace and we roasted peanuts and told stories until I fell asleep. 10 years after that, I am now a teenager. And as I grew up, the obsession of Power Rangers waned and the new fascination with girls and basketball began to eclipse the rational thinking faculties of my mind. Even more so for the latter, basketball. It became my life. I would do anything that I could to become the next Michael Jordan. I bothered, badgered, and begged the school for a team, but the response was always the same. We needed adult supervision, risk assessment, and something about safeguarding of minors, insurance policies, etc., etc., etc. I might as well have just kissed my dreams goodbye. But all of a sudden, bang! Door swings open. Mr. Gray, the PE teacher, swaggers in with confidence of a robot sent from the future to bring my dreams back to life. He said, "Come with me if you want to live." Okay, again, he didn't quite say that, but like a boss, he did sign us up for the local league. He acquired school kits for the entire team, and he mentored me from team captain up to team coach. 3, 4, 5 years later, I am a graduate entering the working world, trying to make a name for myself, striving for that label, competent. I remember shaking hands with my very first line manager. My team leader, Stacy, however, was away on a 2-week holiday with her husband. But she had left an email with detailed instructions, so I got to work. Username or password is incorrect. Username or password is incorrect. Account has been locked. Please contact IT for administration. So much for competent. I told my line manager, but there's nothing that he could do. He told me that Gavin, the only person in IT, was in the south of France on a cruise for 2 weeks with his wife, Stacy. It was not looking good. All of a sudden, bang! Door swings open. My line manager swaggers back in like a robot sent from the future to bring my career back to life. He said, "Come with me if you want to live." Okay, nobody's ever said that in my life. Actually, it's a line from the Terminator, but he did parachute into my helpless situation and he gave me access to study material using his login credentials. That was a lot of trust on his part. Now, I'm hoping that you've seen a little bit of my life now as a child, a teenager, and an adult. What is it that adults have been hiding from me? Let me explain. During that storm, my grandmother didn't know when the lights would come back on. Her grandchild was in hysterics and she hadn't prepared dinner. She was afraid. Mr. Gray, my PE teacher, he made me coach, not only to further my abilities and challenge me, but because, well, he knew nothing about basketball. My line manager knew everything about Gavin and Stacy's vacation plans, nothing about my role. He was uncertain. Adults, just like children, are afraid, nervous, and uncertain. But they do not stop. It doesn't stop them. And that's the secret. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the ability to delve into the depth of the unknown and to bring to the surface stepping stones to allow those who are uncertain across that river of fear, indecision, and doubt. So with that said, come with me if you want to live. Mr. Contest Chair.
Thank you, Gundy. We'll now have a minute for the judges. Thank you, Timer. Our next speaker is Mary Burnham. Mary, can you unmute yourself and confirm that you can see the timer?
I can see the timer, yes.
Wonderful. And I can confirm that I can see and hear you. Our third speaker is Mary Burnham. Mary Burnham, with a speech entitled Practice What You Speech. Practice What You Speech, Mary Burnham.
I am under the doctor. No need to be concerned, Contest Chair, because he has it in hand. He has recommended that I take up a hobby. Now, the reason is I have to take my mind off my work. I sell books for a living. I talk about books, I read books, I recommend books, I write about books. I need a break. So I have decided I'm going to take up sea swimming. Now, sea swimming is not without its challenges. The first being trying to take your clothes off in public while preserving your decency. And that, as we all know, can be a bit of a challenge. But I am getting to be such a dab hand at this. It is absolutely no problem to me whatsoever. Then I have to shimmy into my bikini, and before you know it, I'm ready to launch myself into the water. But that's not really what I do. I inch myself into the water one toe at a time because it is absolutely freezing. Now, as the water goes up my body, I do a lot of rethinking about this hobby, but when it finally reaches my neck and I can breathe again, I put my hands under the water and I start to swim. Me alone in nature, out in the water, wonderful. Now, the very first time I did this, I went to Sandy Cove Harbour. It's magical. I'm in the water, I've got over the freezing bit, I'm starting to swim, and all of a sudden, I hear a voice. Hi, Mary. And I look up. Hi, Brian. But I continue swimming. But he continues talking. Got any books to recommend, Mary? I couldn't believe what I was listening to, but I'm a professional, I'll have you know. And I tell everybody, all you got to do is ask me. And I recommend a book for you or your book club. So what was I going to do? Refuse? You must be joking. What are you wanting to read, Brian? Oh, I'd like a thriller. Oh, a thriller. Yeah, fine. Okay. I know, Brian. Now, this is all from the water. 46 days, or is it, no, 56 days by Catherine Ryan Howard. You'll love it. Thanks, Mary. You're welcome. So I continue swimming, and I think, that's a one-off. I'll write a speech about it one day. No, it wasn't a one-off. I'm swimming out, trying to avoid the seals. But the other swimmers, every now and then I hear, hey, Mary. And I look around. Of course, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't recognize anybody. Any good books to read? And on it goes. It made me laugh. I kept swimming. It was gorgeous. When I turned around and decided to come back in again, a lady struck up a conversation with me. And what she really wanted to know was, had I got a particular children's book in the shop? Now, I don't actually have a catalogue in my head of every title in the shop, but, you know, I said, I'm sure we do. Oh, good, she said. Would you keep me a copy? So I whipped out the notebook that I keep in my bikini and I wrote down, keep book for that mad woman swimming down in Sandy Cove. Of course I will. A pleasure. Now, you might think that this only happens to me when I'm swimming, but you would be wrong. I cycle. And when I'm cycling on my bike, getting the shopping, going from A to B, minding my own business, a voice comes from the other side of the street. Hey, Mary, any good books to recommend? Well, what can I do? I really enjoy it. So I stop and I chat and I recommend. No wonder I'm exhausted. One afternoon, I was at home, up a ladder, trying to clean that bathroom window in the corner that never gets done, when a voice came. Yes, you've guessed. Hey, Mary, any books to recommend? Sometimes I wonder about people. It happens in the strangest places. I can dress up to the nines. I can go into town for an evening's entertainment, and as sure as eggs are eggs, there will be somebody going, hey, Mary, any books to recommend? I should really take it as a compliment. And you know, I do. But when I go back to the swimming, I come out of the water and I grab my towel, which now resembles a hanky. And that's what it feels like as you're trying to get the bikini off and fight to get your knickers back on. It's a real struggle because at the same time, you're trying to avoid the passers-by. Hey, Mary, any books to recommend? But you know what? I really don't mind. I love my job. I love my books, and I love talking about books. So all it means is that you have got to practice what you speech. Contest chair.
Thank you, Mary. And a minute from the timer, please. The timer. Our next speaker is Mick Rock. Mick, can you confirm that you can see the timer, please?
I can see the timer.
And are you ready to begin?
I am.
Our fourth speaker, Mick Rock, with a speech entitled As Solid as a Rock. As solid as a rock, Mick Rock.
Have you ever heard of the overprotective parent? Someone who's tempted to wrap their children up in cotton wool to protect them from the adversities in this world. Well, that wasn't me. In fact, when my two sons were younger, I was only ever tempted to wrap them up in straitjackets and masking tape. Contest chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that many of the adversities that we face in our childhood are opportunities for us to learn and to grow stronger. And today, I'd like to share with you a story of a real challenge I faced in my childhood and the impact it had on me as an adult. I grew up in Dublin's inner city when times were a lot tougher than they are now. The closest I got to a foreign holiday was a sleepover at my granny's. And she lived next door. There were only 2 stations on television back then, but that didn't bother me because we didn't have a television. And growing up in Dublin's inner city, well, you had to be as hard as the glass bottles your milk came in every day. Or else you could be squashed like a modern day Tetra Pak. The key to survival was to not stand out in any way. But unfortunately, I had an impediment that made me stand out like Richard Branson on a Ryanair flight. You see, I couldn't pronounce my R's. Oh yes, life wasn't easy for a boy named Mick Rock. And just like Johnny Cash and his boy named Sue, I quickly realized I was going to have to get tough or die. So every day I'd practice in front of the mirror, just like my hero, Robert De Niro. Come here, you. Are you talking to me or what? Because I can't see anyone else around here. And then, if someone did mock me, I'd walk right up to that bully, look them straight in the eye and shout, "If you don't shut your twat, I'll whap your neck around those railings." Or you'd want to see the scared look on those girls' faces. Thankfully, I never had to resort to the violent threats that I clearly was unable to implement anyway. That was until one day on a school trip to the Phoenix Park. Joey Conway was there, the biggest, toughest, meanest bully in town. And that day, Joey had decided to take a break from bullying all the other children, the school teachers, the local shopkeeper, and his poor granny. And instead, he focused entirely on me. All I could hear from was things like, "Mick Rock" and "Wagga Wabbit." Well, after about an hour of this torment, I just flipped. Forgetting everything I'd practiced in front of the mirror, I ran at Joey and hit him over the head with my lunch bag. Don't get me wrong, I didn't exactly come across like an action hero. In fact, I'd say I looked less like Mr. De Niro and more like Mr. Bean. But incredibly, Joey fell to the ground like a ton of bricks. Everything was going horribly wrong. For a start, my cheese sandwich was completely squashed. On the other hand, there wasn't even a crack in my glass bottle of milk, which is more than I can say for Joey Conway's skull. And as Joey lay there on the ground, unconscious for more than 2 minutes, I realized I faced a big dilemma. Do I confess to everybody that I completely forgotten there was a glass bottle of milk in my bag and that I didn't really mean to hurt Joey that much? Or should I take this opportunity to send out a message to all the other bullies out there that nobody messes with Mick Rock? To be honest, it was an easy choice. And from that moment, my days of being bullied were over. As was Joey's days of heading a football. And after a few speech therapy sessions, my days of being known as Mick Rock were also over. Although I have to admit that my pronunciation, the way I say things still isn't perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to finish by telling you briefly a little bit about the impact that this event had on me as an adult, and also on my nemesis, Joey Conway. Would you believe it? I recently ran into Joey on the street, and you'll be delighted to hear that he's alive and well. And he's no longer that big-headed individual that I last saw in the Phoenix Park that day. Although he told me it had taken 6 months for the swelling to go down. What about me? Well, I started off my journey in life as a timid bunny rabbit. And yet, without a single overprotective parent in sight, my childhood challenges made me stronger. And now, here I stand in front of you today, as solid as a rock. Contest chairperson.
Thank you, Mick. And our minute from the timer. Our fifth speaker is Camille Kornatowski. Camille, can you unmute yourself and confirm that you can see the timer?
I can see the timer, Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. And I can confirm that I can see and hear you. And now welcome Camille Kornatowski with a speech entitled, I will deal with that later. I will deal with that later. Camille Kornatowski.
Have you ever encountered a task so complex, so intimidating, or just so plain boring that you had no idea on how to deal with it and move it out of your way so you can focus on living your best life? Tasks like that have a tendency to pop out all over the place, unwanted, often unexpected, and it seems never ending, like some sort of a crazy game of whack-a-mole, causing us no end of stress and anxiety. But what if I told you that I have found a magical phrase that makes all of that stress and anxiety disappear, making it somebody else's problem? Well, the only catch being that somebody else happens to be, well, you in the future. And in the immortal and wise words of Homer J. Simpson, that's a problem for future me. And gee, I wouldn't want to be that guy. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most especially my fellow procrastinators in the crowd, my people, how are you doing on this beautiful day? You know exactly who you are, doing things at the very last possible second, hoping for the best outcome. Well, at this point, I can only hope that not too many of you are still looking for a way to watch this contest. But luckily, it's being recorded. The phrase I'm talking about is, of course, I will deal with that later. And it is a truly magical, no, magnificent, no, majestic phrase, because it allows us to ignore all the unimportant stuff like deadlines and projects and obligations. Who needs those? And instead, it allows us to focus on the truly important things in life. Socrates once said, "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom." And what's a better way to get to know yourself than taking one of the many exciting online personality quizzes? One of my favorite ones has to be the one that tells you which Spice Girl you're most like. Any fellow baby Spice in the room? In the back? No? Excellent. I always knew I was unique. I will deal with that later is a very powerful phrase if you happen to be a guy that's been living by himself for the last 5 years. You need to do the dishes. I hear a random voice echoing through the room, which is very disconcerting. But do I really? I'm pretty sure I still have a plate or a bowl or at the very least a saucer around here somewhere that hasn't grown legs and isn't scurrying around trying to hide underneath the furniture. I'm pretty sure I have a set of cutlery around here somewhere that isn't lurking in the shadows, looking to fork and knife me in the back. Oh. And I'm almost 100% sure I have a cup around here somewhere that doesn't have a civilization growing inside of it just yet. Oh, there's one. Cheers. Wasn't this one? But I will deal with that later. You need to do the laundry. Hear the same voice again. Where is it? Oh, it's coming from underneath the sofa. But do I really? If I can grab a shirt, throw it against the wall, and it doesn't stick, it's good too. Oh, I will deal with that later. And when it goes about writing speeches, do you know what my favorite part of listening to a speech is? It's finding out the ending, the message that the speaker was trying to convey to his audience. I love it so much, in fact, that more often than not, I'm finding out the ending to my own speeches around the same time my audience does. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I only started writing it about a couple of hours ago and I have no idea which way it's going. I just hate spoilers. That's my defense, and I'm sticking with it. So my fellow procrastination masters, the next time you have your tasks, your deadlines, and your obligations catching up with you, don't stress. Do a little bit less, because it is crucial that we live our life in the moment, right here and now, as it happens, because we'll never get that time back. And if your stress and anxiety is rearing its ugly head, poof, don't hesitate. Procrastinate. Because no matter what it is, there's a very good chance you can deal with that later. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you, Camille. And the minute for the judges. Thank you, Simon. Our next speaker is Ray Cotter. Ray, can you have unmuted yourself? Can you confirm that you can see the timer?
See the timer? Yes, and I've muted myself. Can you hear me at all? Okay.
I can hear and see you. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Our sixth speaker is Ray Cotter with a speech entitled Mensa, How Are Ya? Denser, More Like Ya. Mensa, how are ya? Denser, more like ya. Ray Cotter.
Contest Chair, fellow geniuses. A few months ago, I registered to do a Mensa test in Trinity College, Dublin, to gauge my intelligence. Why? Because I wanted to confirm what I already knew. The test began at 8 in the morning, so I got up at 5. I had a cold shower to stimulate the right-hand side of my brain. I had a hot coffee to stimulate the left-hand side of my brain, and had anything else to stimulate any other part of my brain. I arrived at the exam hall just in time as the invigilator was handing out the exam. When I sat down, I began to read the test. Question 1, name. Question 2, address. Question 3, date of birth. I said to myself, Einstein, you are on a roll. Question 4, right or left-handed. Being ambidextrous, I ticked both. Question 5, sex, M or F. Well, being a heterosexual, ladies, I ticked M. I signed, did the exam, walked over to the invigilator and nonchalantly handed it to him. He looked at me whimsically and said, "Excuse me, sir, but where do you think you're going?" Confidently, I said, "Home." "But sir, we haven't commenced the test yet. If you'd kindly retake your seat, we will begin. This is for administration purposes." Oh. As I sheepishly returned to my seat, he then said, "Ladies and gentlemen, your first test will be spatial intelligence." Now, I'll be honest with you folks, my spatial intelligence was rather limited until I visited Space Mountain in Orlando, Florida a few years ago. From there on, my knowledge skyrocketed exponentially. I mean, some of my spatial heroes are Neil Armstrong, Yuri Gagarin, and Laika Woof Woof the dog. As regards to the planets, I knew the 7 of them intimately. Saturn, Sagittarius, Jupiter, Capricorn, Mars, Snickers, And everyone's funny one, Uranus. Ha, ha, ha. I even read a book about zero gravity. It was really hard to put down. So I was confident in my ability that no matter what question came up in the paper, I'd be able to handle it. When the invigilator handed out the test, I noticed there were circles and squares and diagrams. I said to myself, what kind of spacer compiled this? Immediately, I summoned the invigilator over. I said, excuse me, but I think there's been some kind of mistake. I beg your pardon? I said, where are the spatially intelligent questions on the paper? Sir, spatial intelligence is the ability to draw accurate conclusions from observing a three-dimensional environment. Do you have a problem? Yes, I said I do. I didn't bring my crayons to color in the diagrams. Mensa, how are you? Densa, more like you. The second test was verbal intelligence. Now, I don't have to tell any Toastmaster looking in that that's our bread and butter. It's our ABCs, our 1, 2, 3s, our do-re-mis. Question 1. Which of the following sentences is in the correct sequence? A. Fresh fish fried. B. Fried fresh fish. C. Fish fried fresh. Oh, that was a tricky one. So I ticked all three. To be sure, to be sure, to be sure. The second question was just as difficult as the first, so I abandoned that test. Mensa, how are you? Densa, more like you. The third test was spiritual intelligence. Now, I refuse to answer any of those questions, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe in one firm truth, that God made the world in 6 days, and on the 7th, he made Donald J. Trump just to annoy us all. And he did. And I say that not in a braggadocious nor truth social way. The final test was logic. Now, in my opinion, logic is logical. For example, if A plus B equals C, therefore A equals C minus B. Logic. Question 1. If a man enters a jungle in a 1985 Toyota Hiace van at a speed of 30 miles an hour, and a lion a half a mile away starts to chase him at a speed of 40 miles an hour, how long will it take for one of the following to happen? A. The man realizes that his life could be in danger and he may have a sudden call of nature. B. The man will have to contact the local lion tamer if his negotiating skills with the lion are inadequate, and he'll definitely need toilet paper. Or C. If the van comes to a sudden halt, he hopes that the lion is a vegetarian. I now start to panic and pray for the driver. I failed to complete the test because I became so distraught and handed up my tear-stained exam paper to the invigilator. Mensa, how are you? Very upset, more like you. So how did you do in the test, Trey? That's personal. I'm not telling you. Because it doesn't really matter what tests you've passed, what qualifications you have, or what letters you have after your name. The most important tests you'll ever have to face are those provided on a daily basis. For example, like finding a car parking space in that downtown jungle called Dublin City, or filling out that spatial orientation of an Irish income tax form, or knowing how to catch a fresh fish, then frying it on a pan. And where do we learn all this? In that institute called the University of Life. Mensa, how are you? Common sense, more like you. Contest chair.
Thank you, Ray. Now have a final minute, and the judges, timers and counters will be moved to their breakout rooms. Thank you, Toma. I'd like to give a round of applause for our contestants who have done a fantastic job. I'll now move to interviewing them in the order in which they spoke.
And we confirm that the judges have moved, the chief judge has moved. Yeah, they've moved now.
Yes, they've moved.
Contest chair, if the contestants will turn on their video, I'll not be able to spotlight unless the video is on.
Okay, we have Gundy is now. Hello there, Aaron. Well done on your speech.
Thank you, Julie.
So please let us know, what is your club area division?
Oh, okay. My club is Elvit Speakers. Elvit, Area 15, Division N.
Well done.
Thanks.
So you had a before the contest, you sent some details across, and you said one of your hobbies is traveling.
Yes.
So tell me about a place that you're most keen to get back to.
Oh, that's a really good question. Where I'm most keen to get back to. Japan is probably the best country that I've ever visited. It's amazing food and fantastic people who are very hospitable, and it's a beautiful country, and it's very easy to get around as well. And somewhere like Kyoto, for example, that city center has, hundreds, if not thousands of temples and shrines and wonderful ancient history. It's like a walking museum, Kyoto. So yeah, Japan would be the place that I would want to return to most.
Is there any way you definitely don't want to go back to?
I wouldn't want to do an all-inclusive holiday in Turkey again. I don't think all-inclusive is my cup of tea, if I'm honest with you. I like to move around. I like to travel. I like to see things. I like to experience things. And I think for me, for some people, it's paradise. But for me, kind of sitting on a sun lounger and just reading a book and roasting for an entire day is just not for me.
Not your bag. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Our next speaker was Tundre TJ.
Hello, contestant.
Hello. Again, congratulations on your speech. Tell us your club, area, division, your little bit about your Toastmasters journey.
Okay, I am coming from the New Street Speakers in Birmingham, and we are Area 39, Division E. Now, as for my journey into Toastmasters, it was more just out of curiosity as it started, and I seem to have found myself in a humorous speech contest. This journey pretty much started in the lockdown, out of boredom, looking for something to do, and alas, here I am.
Well, I think it's been a fantastic thing for me to have, to see you speak on that. So in your information, you said you recently spent 72 hours in Scottish Highlands in a tent. So my question was that planned, or did you just upset someone?
I'm not too sure how to answer that one. It initially started with a friend that I met, or at least I thought he was a friend. He told me, hey, there's this really great event called the XCC, Extreme Character Challenge. I think you would love it. They do it out in Scotland, and it's a really nice time. You get to go out and you get to just see nature. He seems to have forgotten to mention the tents and the outdoors and the midgies and mosquitoes. And yeah, it was definitely challenging for my character. Let's put it that way.
Are you glad that you did it?
I am. It really was life-changing. I mean, for me, it became something that is now stamped me for life. I mean, I haven't taken this wristband off since I've left. So here we go, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So our third speaker was Mary Burnham. Hello, Mary. Again,
Hello, good to talk to you.
area, club, division, in the right order.
If I can remember them, Dudley Toastmasters in County Dublin by the sea, Area 71, and it's Division M.
Wonderful. And Mary, books, so many books. A beautiful, beautiful bookshelf there behind you. Tell us about how you got so involved with all those books. What brought your love of books to you?
It started when I was very, very small. We had no money, and my mother used to buy secondhand books, comics, and that was it. We didn't have a television. We read. And I just read all my life, and I was so fortunate. I met the owner of a bookshop and asked him for a part-time job. And that was over 20 years ago, and he hasn't got rid of me yet. And I have a ball. Going to work is just fun, and I love it. It's my hobby, really.
So what's the genre that you really fall into, or are there different genres that you like to read?
I like different genres. The odd biography is really inspiring, but most of all, I think I like a good story, a good book. And then when I know it hits the nail on the head, I can recommend it to other people. I'm like an evangelist. As soon as I read a good book, I'm going around. So at the moment, I'm getting everybody to read a Ukrainian book, and it's called Grey Bees. So you don't remember the author's name, and he's living in Kyiv at the moment, and he's the person I want to support. So Grey Bees, go out and buy it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I won't have to ask what you recommend. Thank you for your contest. Next, we have Mick Rock.
Hello, contest chair.
Hello, Mick.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm really enjoying this contest. It's been so fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes. I hope you're enjoying it as well. So tell us your club, your area and division, who's supporting you out there.
Well, my club, I'm a proud member of East Coast Toastmasters in Dublin. I spent the last 5 minutes trying to find the area number. I think it's 9. And we're Division C.
Fantastic. Yeah, it does sometimes miss our mind sometimes. But yes, so you say that one of your achievements is you're co-author of a Weaving a Wellbeing
program.
Yeah. Tell us about that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's a positive mental health program for primary schools, which runs in Ireland, so it runs from 2nd through to 6th class. And it has it looks at different aspects of well-being. So, for example, character strengths, positive relationships, empowering beliefs, tools of resilience, and I think I've left one out there. I think positive emotions. So there's a different program for each year, each level, and I think it's in about 60 or 70% of Irish schools at this stage, and it seems to be making a very big difference to the children who are using it.
That sounds absolutely fantastic thing to be doing, and I wish you all the best with that.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And the best with the contest. Thank you. Our next speaker was Camille Kornatowski. Sorry.
Hello, Julie.
Hello. Camille again.
Yes. So today I'm representing 4 speakers from Derry, but I'm also a member of Mid Ulster, which is up north as well. And we are Area 4, Division F.
That's brilliant. Congratulations on your speech there. You put across, said what you have won, the I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's working award. Tell us. What don't you have any idea that what you're doing about? Because that speech sounded like you did know what you were doing to me.
So today is pretty much the perfect example of that award. Because I woke up this morning and I remembered, you know what, I think I'm in a speaking competition today. And the last time I delivered that speech was at the division level, which was in November. So then I was trying to remember it, and it's just been quite a race this morning. And I've been doing everything I could to avoid trying to remember it. I actually did my dishes and I did my laundry, just leaving it to the very last possible second. I really believe in the message of my speech. But I have a tendency for, and it is a line I heard in the international speech competition yesterday, that my heart says yes before my head has a chance to say no. And that ends up me in some situations that I have no idea how to actually achieve that goal. One of them is I sign up to run a marathon after living a life as a couch potato. And somehow I managed to do it, but how? I have no idea. So it's just going in headlong into the situations that are brilliant for my personal growth, but really quite challenging logistically. And I love it.
Goodness me. That is quite inspiring. Thank you very much, Camille.
Thank you.
And now I'll invite our last contestant was Ray Cotter. Hello, Ray. Congratulations on your speech and for giving me the longest title that I had to pronounce.
I did a Mensa test. I actually did a Mensa test I got an idea of a speech. I said I would do a Mensa test to see how it would go, and I got great material from it. So it was good.
Fantastic, and we enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
Tell us your club, your area division.
I'm with Toastmasters Area 28 Division D. That's where I'm at the moment.
Lovely. I'm sure that all of the clubs and the areas and divisions are rooting for our contestants today. So you say that you are inspired by simple acts of kindness.
Mm.
So, and I wonder, do you think we're getting more or less kind at the moment?
Well, I think we're all in a bit of a rush nowadays, and there's a lot of pressure on everybody, and we're against the time. However, I think one of the things that COVID did was it made us reflect a lot, and it made us ask ourselves what's important in life, because a lot of us had time on our hands to reflect and to think, and we were working from home, and sadly some people were laid off. So I think people are now maybe understanding more what's important in life than making a book or whatever. Because life is very stressful for a lot of people, especially nowadays with what's happened in Ukraine and cost of living, etc., etc. So I think people are reflecting, and they're taking stock of what is important and what's not important. And I think people are coming to the right decision because you haven't got your health, you haven't got your family, you haven't got loved ones around you. That's essential.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I wish you best. Right, so that concludes our speech contest, and I can confirm that we have the results in. So we have 3 contestants who will be going forward to the final in a week's time. Before I say who those are, I want to thank all the judges, timers, counters, the officials, the Zoom masters, and everybody who's put in such efforts to make this a great successful contest, this one and across the weekend. The results are, and I'm giving this in no particular order, who will be going through to the contest next week: Mick Rock, Aaron Day, and TJ Gundy. Of the maths levels. Spotlight them. Well done, everyone. Well done, E3. It's been an amazing contest. I really hope you have been enjoying it.
Well done, lads. Well done, everybody. Best luck next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
That concludes the contest.
Well done. Thanks, Julie. Well done.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well done.
Well done, guys.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Well
best
done,
of luck.
everybody. Great stuff.
Well done,
Well
everybody.
done. Well done, everyone now.
Well done, everyone.
Thanks, Martin. Well done. Cheers.
We even managed to finish early.
Did indeed finish the grand time, 2 minutes. So good luck to you.